rabbi. So people always thought of them as a bunch of jerks, and they were, but there was a few exceptions. And the chief rabbi of Moscow, Yaakov Maza, was very famous for being one of the exceptions. He entered history very famously by being the witness for the defense in the Beilis trial in 1912, when it was the Jewish religion, not just Beilis. There was no trial because they said he killed the child to use the blood for the matzahs. I mean, I want you to understand. The Russian government, the state, prosecuted this case. Understand? And this was therefore not an attack simply on one Jew named Beilis. It was an attack on the Jewish religion. It's a barbarous religion that this guy was carrying out the mandates of his religion. And the Jews were all outraged on this, and the Russians went after him, and the Jews went after the Russians. And they had the leading Jewish lawyer in Russia at that time, Oscar Grusenberg, who was very assimilated, but he said, I'm taking this case for nothing. And he gave a famous statement, which is often repeated. He says, I'm saying to the reactionary government of the Tsar that the Jewish people is an old anvil, it's an alta eisen, upon which many hammers have hammered down and been broken, but the anvil is still there and the hammers are broken. We're taking you in and we're going to bust you. And they did because the chief witness for the prosecution was the Catholic priest, a Polish priest, Justin Pranitis, who's supposed to be a big expert in Judaism. He'll tell you the Jewish religion, of course, sanctions killing babies who use the blood for the matzah. And Maza was the chief expert for Judaism on the prosecution, and it's very famous that he, opened the Gemara upside down, and he says, I have in front of me, this tractate of the thing, and what does it say? And the guy says something like, I don't have my glasses on, I can't read very well. He said, I want the jury to see that I have this upside down. This is the government expert on. One more question. When did Baba Basra live, in the 3rd century or the 2nd century? And the guy said, how do you expect me to remember all the names of those rabbis? I don't know all those that sort of thing. So this is what the government was prosecuting on this basis. He was an interesting guy, and he wrote 4 volumes of brilliant memoirs. Zichronos Ramaza is a classic of 20th century Jewish literature. And one of them is called, he has vignettes. Believe me, I'm not doing any, if you haven't read it, whatever I'm saying is a drop in the bucket. He was a brilliant writer, and one of his chapters is called Yehudim B'Goyim B'Rakevet, Jews and non-Jews in a train car. In 1892, Zebashnas Tarnava was 1892, I was participating in some kind of a Chovetzian rally, and he didn't know if the government wanted it, therefore he tried to keep a low profile, as he says over here. Tachas Asifa Levaya, they wanted to have certain goals for the meeting, and now he's traveling back from Poland back to Moscow. B'yosi B'Rakevi Kamash Lo Dibarti in Shemish. And I sat there, tired, and I sat in my car. Is he Jewish? You can't tell. This is in 1892. That's how everybody dressed. That's a bowler hat. Not a kaput or anything like that. He's got a distinguished beard. In 1890s, non-Jews also have beards. Isn't that right? Benjamin Harrison, right? So, it's your reasoning. And because I didn't speak with anybody, I was reading different books. Opposite me on the train was sitting someone who wasn't Jewish, very modern looking, Osis Intelligentios, and he cares upon him, you could tell he's a member of the Russian intelligentsia. And behind him was a bunch of Russians, with a big bottle of booze in front of them, and they have a picnic, and they were fressing. They were having a good time on the train. And they would send, to the guy sitting opposite me, the Russian president, to give a piece of the meat and some of the wine, and sharing him in the meal. And even though the Gemara says you're not supposed to talk in the middle of the meal, they were no Jews in the car, but once they got into a good mood and had a few, their full belly, all the rest of it, they started to damn the Jews. This is Russia in 1892. Every curse you could think of, everybody knows that the 2 languages that have the main number of curse words is Arabic and Russian. So Russian can do it. He says, I myself never heard half these curses, and I live here. Okay? Because in Russia, everything's your mother's this, that, and the other. And the fellow sitting opposite me was staring at me, right, trying to figure out. אם מרגיש אני באופן הקידום שיחוז עולם בסוף שם שלו.